If you were sitting next to Kanye here, and Kanye was trying to give you advice, it'll be amazing. You'll be souped up, but the person.
Hi, my name's Taylan. I'm a life coach. I'm a poet. I'm a historian. And amongst many other things, I'm just a person. I'm a human being experiencing life. Growing up, I've always been that person that people.
As resilient as you may be, you need to have a balance of rest to go to accommodate all the hard work and tension that you put in. Because rest is also a place where you're able to receive more inspiration. And so it's actually, even though the two may be on separate ends of the scale, they're both complementary.
What will you change from your childhood? He is a life coach, which whole is to enhance our life, tell us the reason why we do good or we don't. Hello, family. Yes, your boy Asin Hako. Today we are with our special guest, an incredible life coach, who is here to explain how we can be a high performer in the fashion industry and in any creative field. Once more, my name is Asin Hako, and you're watching the Fashion Podcast. Hello, Taylan.
Hey brother, how you doing? You okay?
Not too bad.
Thank you for the intro.
I'll
try and do my best. It's a lot of pressure. I'll try and do my best.
Normally, I do it a little bit longer, but I'm a little bit stressed, so I say, let me cut the short.
Worries,
but next time it's gonna be 2 minutes straight away.
No. Keep the bar low for me. You know, it's okay.
So how was your journey here, Taylan?
Yeah, it was alright, man. I mean, obviously London weather is horrible. It's a beautiful island weather we're having, you know. But other than that, man, it's alright. Not too bad, man. How about yourself?
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Living. Yeah. I'm just living. Yeah. You know, it's not easy. So today I have you on the podcast, and it's a little bit different because we're used to bring people in the creative field, designers, actors, but today we're here to answer to some question that has been asked. People ask me on your podcast. The guests used to say, you need to find what you're called to do.
Yeah.
You need to find your way. You need to find your journey, your purpose. You need to be disciplined. Everybody says that. But how to be disciplined? How to find our way? And that's the reason why you're here. Because we know that we have to be disciplined. We know that we have to focus on our goal. But how are we doing that? So you're here to summarize, to give us that the meaning, the insight on how to be a high performer. And I'm thankful and grateful to have you today.
Likewise, man. I'm blessed to be here. Yeah. Man. But in terms of me, all I'm going to be doing is just giving people the tools to be self-aware.
Yeah.
Everyone's so different, you know, and it's for the best that we're different because we fill in. If we have a nice community, we fill in each other's gaps of, you know, where our weaknesses are. So it's a beautiful thing. But all I'm going to be doing is just try and give some tools and tips for people, make them more aware of how the human being is being, how it operates, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So let's dive in with the first question. Oh, and I didn't tell you, I'll be sketching a garment based on what you're telling me.
Ooh, please do. Please do. I'm gonna make sure someone creates that for me as well.
For sure. So I know you're a simple man, but we'll try to stay simple. Again, try to stay simple.
On that note, I was actually thinking about it today. I was like, I'm coming on a fashion podcast, and I'm not the most fashionable person.
Yeah.
You know, me sitting on here is pretty plain, right? I'm not flamboyant in any kind of way. So I was thinking, why is it? I'm sure he's going to press me about this. I'm sure he's going to ask me questions about how you coming on the fashion podcast without, what is this, you know? But I think the reason why is because I realized that I'm a conduit.
Yeah.
I'm the facilitator.
Yeah.
It's not for me to be flashy.
Yeah.
You know, it's not for me to advertise myself. I need to be as plain as possible and give the tools for the other person so they know how to shine.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it can be very intimidating.
For sure.
Like, let's say if you were sitting, I'm not sure if this is the idea or not, but just an arbitrary kind of explanation. If you were sitting next to Kanye here, and Kanye was trying to give you advice, it'll be amazing. You'll be souped up, but the persona which Kanye is now is so big, it's hard to see your own shine when there's someone who you feel is shining brighter than you.
For sure, and that's true. That's true. I think it's as you say, they say that in French, the aura, the energy. When someone aura is quite big, you can express yourself. And this CEO Jeff Bezos used to say, he speaks last in every meeting, because when he speaks, everybody who had their own thought will feel, oh, I'm rubbish, I'm trash, because he's thinking something different, and that makes sense. So he said he let people speak from himself so that he can understand what people feel. And yeah, I can relate to that. Yep. So let's dive in the first question. But I'm not going to ask you. I'm going
to let you speak. I'm going to let Jeff Bezos. I'm going to let you speak first.
I'm not going to ask you I'm not going to ask you why you're on the fashion podcast, but you say you're a facilitator. You're the people who are behind this brainstorm, this big athlete. All these high performers have a supporting team, a strength team who work on the mental. Because if you want to operate at a high level, you need a high level individual who understand. It's not luck. You don't become number one by luck. So you have to work on that. And for sure, you're the people behind the doors that we don't show, but who are the pillars to the building, who are sustaining the pillar. And without you, everything's gonna fall.
I'll take that. That's a nice little accolade for me. I'll take that. Thank you, bro.
Yeah. So the word work balance is quite often in the creative industry, in athletic world, football, music, everywhere. Say, find your work balance. Why is that actually the work balance, and how can anyone in the creative field who wants to perform at the highest level can find that work balance?
Okay, so why is work-life balance important? Well, we're in a hyper-capitalistic kind of era in society, right? Mass commerce, mass interrelationships between different countries, different industries, a lot of things going, right? We're still building our global civilization. And so with this, it requires a lot of skilled labor, a lot of innovation, a lot of practice, a lot of time mastering your craft. And so when you have a goal and you want to focus on a goal, that requires you to be focused, and that requires you to, as you would see with a laser pointer, when you want to focus a laser beam, you see how the lens tightens up. There's a certain level of tension that is involved when striving towards an objective or a dream or a goal. But what happens when that tension stays on continuously without any respite, without any break? If you imagine it like your charger cable, for instance, it's an easy one that everyone can relate to. Is that as it gets twisted more, as it gets tightened more and more and more, without it being straightened back up, without you learning how to be flexible at the same time, if you tighten it too much, it's going to snap. And this is very similar and very same to the human psyche, the human body, the spirit. As resilient as you may be, you need to have a balance of rest to go to accommodate all the hard work and tension that you put in, because rest is also a place where you're able to receive more inspiration. And so it's actually, even though the two may be on separate ends of the scale, they're both complementary. If you focus too much on one extreme, any extreme is going to be a double-edged sword. And so you have to find the sweet spot whereby you're able to continuously, consistently put in the level of work that you need. But in order to do that, you need to have the rest and energy and inspiration to be able to pursue that. So that's why it's important to have a work-life balance.
Yeah, and I feel sometimes, in my case, when I'm working, I'm like 100%, and I want to get things done. And I get to a point where I need to rest. But once I start resting say for like half a day, I feel anxious because I have so much thing that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
And then I don't enjoy being by myself. I don't enjoy resting because when I sleep, like I cannot do 1 week without on holidays. Whenever I go for 1 week, I feel bad because there's so much thing that need to be done.
Okay.
And I don't enjoy that rest. What will you say from
I
that?
mean, okay, first things to do is like, I mean, I'm sorry you go through anxiety. You know, it's pretty common.
Is that anxiety?
Well, when you're feeling anxious because you're not doing enough,
Yeah,
you're on an off day, right?
I don't.
You should be able to just relax and just, vibe out and chill. But your body is being brought back into the tension because you feel like you may be falling behind or you're not doing enough, or there's a fear of failure, and also so you're running away from the fear of failure, but you're also running towards your goal. So it's doubly kind of in twofolds. It pushes you forward towards your destination, right? But it can be tiring. But I would say with that, why do you feel anxious first?
When I feel anxious, I feel I probably think this problem we all have these as creative people, the fear of not being good enough, of not doing the right thing, of not doing things on time.
I hear you. So a good thing to do is then, once you understand the emotion. See, an emotion is a response from your body, from your whole body, from this vessel. It's telling you that something is amiss. Either you've perceived life in a certain way and it's giving you a response to be like, okay, well, maybe something's not right, or maybe something is right. And so you need to understand what that stimulation is. Once you understand it, as I try and tell people, and I try and live by, is you need to give that emotion a goal. You need to give that emotion not only a goal so you can give it an outlet, but you need to structure it so that within the period of you accomplishing that goal with this particular emotion, you then correct any perversions of why it may bring you anxiety in the first place, and you set an end goal. As in, after you've accomplished that goal, you sit down, you actually take on the fact, and you celebrate the fact that you've accomplished this task in order to fulfill the alleviation and fulfillment of that emotion. So usually if you continue to carry on that emotion longer than necessary, it gets further away from the source. The further it gets away from the source, you'll pick up more coping mechanisms that latch onto it. And it'll be harder to find the cause of it in the beginning. It'll be harder to find your way back and make that rectification. So it's just nice to understand that, okay, you feel anxious. Maybe you feel like there's a lot more to do. But you set yourself a certain goal, a certain time frame. You stick to that. It gives you structure. It gives you purpose. But then with that, it can also give you a little bit of rest because you have that structure. That limitation grants you freedom outside the limitation. And so once you then fulfill that, you can sit down and be like, you know what, I've done that. I was anxious, but you know what, I've set this structure down and I feel like I'm on top of everything now. I did that, that was me. Yeah. And I feel great now. You know what, just remember that anxiety and know that you've rectified it. You have the power to control it. And that will give you confidence. And it'll also help rectify any further unnecessary, excessive amounts of anxiety or stress.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. That makes sense in a way. Even I had this previous guest, Somi, she said, always thank yourself. Always thank yourself for what you did achieve. If not, you're gonna get lost. And when I've been in that position, when I did something, it's done. I'm not looking backward. It can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing sometimes, because it can be a good thing because I don't want to sit on past achievement and just say back in the days. Back in the days. I don't want to say back in the days. I always want to push forward, and what is done is done. But in the meantime, what you're saying is look on it and just say, oh, actually it's not bad. It's not bad, and thank you. And when you thank you, then you become less anxious because you actually covered something.
Damn straight. I mean, you're validating your emotions, right? Well, first you need to recognize them. You first need to recognize your emotions. And to be honest, as a man, generally speaking, men are generally tend to lean towards becoming more avoidant. We tend to want to avoid emotions, maybe because it's harder for us to understand, or maybe because we don't process them as much, so it's overwhelming. So we're a bit more ignorant to it. But once you're able to practice and understand what your emotions are and why you're feeling them, identify them, you validate them, you give it time, space to work on it, you actually incorporate into your lifestyle, but in a healthier way.
Yeah, but and that one is a good one. We spoke about this before, but when you get to a point where you do the things the way you want to do, everybody say you can't do it, but you say, no, I'm going to do it. And it happens that what you say was true. Coming in a relationship where someone has to say, no, you have to do it this way, where that's 50-50, it's so hard. That's why it's hard for entrepreneurs and for creative people to be that good in a relationship, because they always follow that intuition. They always follow that instinct that what I'm thinking is what is. And going even in relationship, I'm bringing that in. I'm like, no, this is the way you have to do, because all my life I've been doing this way, and it always work. And then it doesn't work.
Damn straight. I mean,
then it doesn't work.
No, you bring up a good point, because work-life balance, as you just touched on before, it stems into this, because again, work-life balance is the same as work and personal life. It's important to make a distinction and separation. If you bring the mindset of work into your personal romantic life or your personal intimate life, it's going to clash, because it requires two different lenses of focus or energy, shall I put it. It requires two different dimensions of energy within you. One is, again, as I said before, we need to accomplish a goal. Tension is used, right, along with emotions to fulfill that, right? Discipline, commitment, tension, all these things. And it's like a cloak of armor that you have to wear when you go out into the world. There's going to be loads of obstacles. And so you have to learn to when and how to buckle down so you can achieve your dream, and when to maybe trust someone. However, in a relationship, although that dynamic is still there, you need to discern when and how you should trust someone as you get deeper into a relationship. It requires a different level of attentiveness. You can attend to your work. Most people at work are really stressed. Do you want to be attentive with your relationship and stress? No. It has to be a softer energy. It has to be a energy of exploration and communication. It's two people coming together, two lives coming together, a lot of admin. And if you just bulldoze through another person's life experiences and just shun it to the side and disregard it, that person's going to feel left out, and it's going to pull back, and it's going to affect the connection in the relationship.
Yeah.
You need to separate. You need to be like, okay, you know what? The work that day is done. I smashed it, or maybe it was difficult. Give myself a little 10, 15-minute break, or whatever ritual you have to kind of re-regulate yourself, your nervous system, your mind, and then just approach the other half of the day with the intent to be the person you want to be in a relationship. And that requires a softer touch.
Yeah.
Vulnerability does. It's like, in the beginning, you're very vulnerable in the beginning of a relationship. It's probably one of the few times you will attempt to be very honest and transparent and open with someone. And you're not used to it as well. But after time, you get more resilience to becoming vulnerable. But in the beginning, you just have to make sure you give that time, that space for it.
Yeah. Now, talking about this thought, a lot of when I say professional, I'm talking of people who are professional in something, like doctors, musicians, artists.
Okay.
A lot of professionals think that because they are professional, they can create a business.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we've been talking about this, and you shared something on that there's a difference between being a business person or a business and a professional. There's a difference between a doctor and a hospital or a clinic. So it's not because you're a good doctor that you can be a good businessman to open a clinic. And you said you cannot do the two things at the same time. That is not something as multitasking, that you're just switching in between the two. So I want you to talk us about why is it that is this different and it's difficult? Why can we not, because I'm a doctor, I want to open a hospital, or because I'm a designer, I want to have a brand?
You can, but it's just, you have to learn that realize it's a different skill set. It's a very different skill set, and the perspective can be very different as well, especially to the unexperienced. You know, as you said, with multitasking, it's not doing multiple things at the same time. It's just being able to flip between tasks very rapidly and picking up quicker on where you left off, right? But in terms of if someone is let's say, as you said, a surgeon, and you want to open up a clinic, well, that's two different skill sets for one. And two, depending on your psychological and emotional health balance, there might be also an issue there, or something that needs to acknowledge, which be sometimes people equate their own personal skills with their worth. So you might say, I'm a great doctor, right? So you're inputting your own personal worth and value and self-esteem into the project, whereas two different things.
So yeah.
Right? One is an external thing. It's an external project, completely void of you.
It doesn't depend on what you think.
Right. It doesn't depend on your emotions as much. You can use your emotions to fulfill goals, as we touched on before. But, just because you're an amazing surgeon doesn't mean your surgery is going to be amazing. That's a complete different sort. That's organization. That's a lot of admin work. That's a lot of legal procedures and advertisement. So one is to just be honest with yourself, to differentiate the two. Understand if you're already a great, let's say a fashion designer, right? As we're in a fashion podcast, if you're a great fashion designer, you're great with creativity, but you want to open up a business, don't be discerned that you can't do it straight away. Don't be discerned at the frustration or the fact that you're uncomfortable. You being uncomfortable means that there's room for growth, and you should always lean into where you feel uncomfortable. But you need to understand it's a process. Whereas one may have been an innate talent, or maybe just good fortune or luck that you've capitalized on along the way. The other is not. The other is a necessity out of an opportunity that you're seeking. So it's two very different approaches and two very different mindsets you need to have when approaching it. And so just be honest about yourself in terms of what you can dedicate to it. And if you're not going to be as amazing on the business side as you are on the creative side, that's fine. Some people can do it. It comes at a great sacrifice sometimes, which is their personal life, because you're having to put a lot of energy into two different aspects of a business alone. So if you can't do that, you can just outsource it to someone. Or as I said, when you have a community, as I said in the beginning of the podcast, is that when you have a community of people that you can trust, they can compensate for any deficiencies that you may have in certain areas of life. And that's where community comes in, So yeah, it's we're not built to do everything. We're not. The universe is very clear in that everything has something to keep it in checks and balances. The only one thing conceptually that we can think that's ever just been a single thing is the concept of God, which is came from nothing, will beget nothing, and it's just one thing is independent of its own. But everything in this universe depends on something. And so it's just understanding that and just being okay with it.
Yeah, and
did that make sense? Did I answer
no,
the
it's
question?
for sure.
You got that,
It don't make sense. It don't make sense. So yeah, you said something that I do want to go on deeper, and you said not everybody can need to know everything, and yeah, as a creative person, as an entrepreneur, we mostly want to do everything by ourselves, because when we outsource, people don't do things the way we want it to be done, and that's a big barrier to growing into a business. Even for me, sometimes like I'm asking someone to do this and he don't do that in time. I just have to go back and do it myself. And
you have to, whip his ass behind the scenes a little bit, and then make sure you do it correct yourself.
But is it a way to go, or are we doing wrong in that? Or?
No, it's understandable. Your dream is your dream. It's your passion, and there's a lot of riding on it. You have a certain vision for your dream, right?
But when you can't outsource or delay things to people as well, you don't get that time, because what we're buying, we're just paying time. We want time as a creative person to create, to bring it. But if we have to sit down and do everything by ourselves, I get that we have to trust people, but how to, like, what's the process? Like, if I say, how's the process?
Come on, you know this, and I'm just going to give it to you. It's that the fact is that how do you build trust with someone, man?
The time.
You spend time with them, you exchange.
Yeah, but we don't have
time. And then
time.
you see how you align with the other person, right?
But we don't have time, bro.
You have to
just 24 hours.
You have to make time. This is the thing. This is, again, life-work balance. Rest.
Yeah.
In that moment of rest can also include meeting with people, because that sometimes can energize people, right? That's part of resting and inspiration. This is why life-work balance is so important, because the life aspect, it opens up your mind. It can grant you other opportunities outside of your professional field that you otherwise might not be able to capitalize on, So you just got to sit down and talk with people and, connect with them, make sure they understand your mission and the vibe and the vision that you have for it, and that you can trust that their input into your vision is going to be more complementary than it is the opposite. That's all. We have to have a community. We're social creatures by nature. We can survive on our own, but we thrive as a community. And so it's best to capitalize on that. Otherwise, you're going to burn yourself out. Either burn yourself out or you be lonely as hell, because you're not going to have time for anything.
That's true. You're
not going to have time for nothing.
I think as you say, time. That's the biggest. That's the biggest step I have to go through. Take time to know these people.
But then limitation grants freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean by that?
No.
So, like, put it this way. If I gave you a whole day, whole day, and you had no routine, you had no objective, just a whole day to just chillax. I know you said before you can't because you have loads of things in your mind. What if you had a whole day just to relax and do nothing, right? No routine, no nothing. Most people waste that day, right? Yeah. There's no structure. There's no motive. There's no objective, right? Most people will waste that day. Oh, what'd you do today? Oh, I just chilled at home and I just watched some stuff and I just, a whole 24 hours gone. So that freedom is limiting your ability to express yourself. However, limitations can grant freedom, because let's say you now set yourself 4 hours of that day to get one thing done or to get a couple things done. In those 4 hours, you know that nothing else is going to distract you, right? And you're free within those 4 hours to explore that domain of life, that dimension of your life, as passionately as you can. And after that limiting time period that you put on yourself, you're free after that as well. So limitations grant freedom to a certain extent. And so, you just got to make sure you set that time. You schedule yourself so that you have a point of focus and you have a point of rest. Work-life balance. Again, it's coming back to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's cool, bro. I struggle with it sometimes as well. We all do, you know. It's like life always throws a curveball at you. Every day you wake up, you're not going to be the same Arsenal. I'm not going to be the same Taylan every morning. Sometimes I may wake up on the good side of the bed. Sometimes I may not. But you got to just learn to work with it.
Yeah. So as a life coach, what advice will you, I know you've been doing that, will you give to an artist dealing with pressure again? Because he have to be innovative. He have to stay on trend, and he's just constant pressure. After this show, I have to do the next show and no rest. What's the advice in terms of, even if you can give some tips, exercise we can do to better it?
First, change the mindset. I would say, if that's the way the person's thinking in their head, oh, I'm not going to get any rest. No, you will. The amount of hours in a day, however months it's going to be into your next show, there's going to be a period for rest. I need to make sure you get that. You know, sometimes buckling down extra hard is a double-edged sword. You know, it's a roll of the dice. You may be able to get it done with extreme pressure, or you may just snap and break, or you may just trip up along the way and stumble and lose a bit of your motivation. You know, pencil in that little bit of time, because it's in those moments as well. Let's say you're an artist, you're creative, and your own personal expression of fashion stems from the things that you enjoy in life, or the way that you perceive life, or the way you connect dots, or the way you intake what the world has to offer you. How are you going to process that if you're always working? Where are you going to find the inspiration? You know, where are you going to find the joy? Where are you going to find the love for things to be able to infuse it? Where are you going to find the knowledge, the time to consume knowledge, to be able to infuse it with your own personal concoction of whatever you got inside of you, to then let it bleed on the canvas or sew it into your clothing designs or whatever it may be you do as a creative? You need to pencil in that time. And studies have shown as well that, I mean, for instance, take it at this, you know, they were doing this thing lately, not lately, a couple of years now. Some places in the world are doing 4-day work weeks. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Or working from home now is a big thing, and I'm so jealous about people that do that. But trust me. But they find out that productivity doesn't drop. Even with one less day of work, the productivity doesn't drop. So that means more rest, if in balance, isn't detrimental to the input of work you put in. You know, rest is important. We're just so conditioned to just trundling along all the time because it's a hyper-competitive world we live in. People are always working, but you can't afford to compare yourself to what other people do, because you don't know what they're sacrificing to get ahead, and if it's something you want to sacrifice. You know, some people may be at the very top, but they may have also compromised themselves or have to sacrifice certain valuable relationships. You don't know what it is. Your process is your process. You just got to have faith in it and be kind to yourself to be able to live life in order to infuse it back into your work. Have people around you that's accountable. Definitely. I mean, I know my partner, she works ridiculously hard. And I'm the one that has to remind her, just take a little break.
Calm down.
Have a little time for yourself. And when she does, she's amazing, and she goes straight back into it with a lot more energy because she feels replenished.
Yeah, and that's very useful. It's very useful. I know when I'm in that situation of I'm blocked, I can move on.
Yeah.
I know that I need to get some rest.
Yeah,
but I'm like, I can't.
And some good food.
Yeah,
as well.
and some good food as well. But by the time when I get the rest and good food, I'm more productive. You refill. But for me to take that step and go, I'm like, there's that voice. I become addicted. That voice like, no, I said, you're not giving up. You're not giving up. But there's that voice who say, you're not giving up. And I know if I go and sleep and got up, I'm going to be more, I'm I'm going to do more. I'm going to be more efficient. But then,
bro, that's it, bro. You just need someone that's going to be accountable for you. Again, checks and balances.
yeah, someone that's going to be
We
accountable.
work in a whole
I got that.
ecosystem of a community of people that, if worked in a healthy way, should keep each other accountable.
Sure. You know, and I don't like to share this. You know, I like to ask people to share what they think, their feelings.
Go on.
But me,
Go on.
if you say, Arsene, how you feeling? I'm good. I'm very open with people.
Yeah.
I'm cool. I talk with everybody, but I don't open that much. And it's not that I don't want to open. It's just like I always put this strong image of myself out there. Like, no, I'm strong.
Damn straight.
And I don't want. Yeah.
I'm the shit. Is profanity okay? Can we swear on here? I don't know. I'm the.
Yeah.
You've got to have that sometimes when you go out there. It's a tough world out there. A lot of people are going to try and get you down. You know, because maybe not knowingly, but because maybe they're having a bad day in a row.
Yeah.
You got to have a certain level of armor on you, right?
Yeah.
You got to. But then it's just come back to what we talked about before. We talked about you don't know who to trust, but you just say that I know you do know who to trust.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
When it does come to it, right? And around those people you are.
Yeah. But sometimes I will say I'm probably scared as well. I do know I have some people who I can see in that these people, But in the meantime, I don't know, it's probably the fear of failure who keep coming on. And like, she's the person who I have to talk to. But in the meantime, no.
Why no?
I don't know. And that's why I'm probably scared. I'm probably scared. I'm probably scared. I think I have this, growing up, I have this mentality of I've read a lot of books and the story is always, I don't have time for distraction. I don't want to be distracted. I always want to be focused. I don't have time for this. I don't have time to be emotional. And I think that's the real problem because I don't love when I'm getting emotional. I like where I'm straight up and I don't like when it's getting too emotional. I probably think that's what I'm scared of when I have to talk to someone. And
bro, it's again, why do you feel scared? It's because you don't understand the emotions sometimes, or sometimes emotions can distract from the focus that you need, right? It's emotions are, if I can liken emotions to the ocean, right? Sometimes you may come across a strong current. You don't understand it. You may not know how to escape it if you don't get it in time. Maybe, let's say, it's a really, really strong current. But once you understand the current and you understand where it's going, you may be able to use that and leverage that to your advantage, or you may be able to maneuver out of it in a safe manner. It's all about understanding your emotions. And as a man, we're not as used to that as our female counterparts because they are generally a lot more emotionally intelligent than we are.
Yeah,
we are
I believe,
more object oriented, whereas women are a lot more social oriented. You know, they are the backbone. Most of the time, they're backbone of our families in terms of socially keeping everyone together. So with these, if you feel scared, just take a little time out. Just sit down and be like, all right, cool. Why am I scared? Well, who says you can't take a little time out, man? Put it this way, like imagine life like a video game. In a video game, everyone is so great at video games. Generally, if you're playing a story mode on something, it's still a character, right? There's still objectives to do, but you can pause the game when you want. You know, you can look at it objectively. You're not emotionally always so invested. You're not trying to see the label from inside the jar. You're outside the jar. You're looking at it with a wide scope, right? If you look at life in a similar way, understand what the person's going through in the video game. You understand that there's dialogue there. You use your emotional intelligence to understand what's going on. You use the decision-making skills to make the right choice towards the right path of outcome you want in the game, depending on what, stats you have as a character. You got to do the similar thing with yourself, just take a break, pause for a second if you need to, or assess the situation by still being in touch with the emotions but not letting it consume you. Have a healthy detachment from it, being able to distance yourself from it so you can see it so you can see the whole picture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Get that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. So how can wellness and mental illness affect the creativity or the performance of an individual, of a performer?
How can it affect? It depends on a couple things. But off the top of my head, it depends on how a person treats or unravels in the process of their mental illness. Some people become super chaotic, and it's almost like an explosion of energy that isn't directed towards any particular way. And there's others that really tighten down and they shut themselves inside, and it's suffocating through principle and through tyranny, because they don't want to experience maybe certain things, or maybe it's really hard and they're being really hard on themselves, so they don't allow themselves to express. And those manifestations of how we cope with any mental illness or any kind of difficulties we're encountering in life will then show and manifest in a different way. For instance, look at what, just on the surface level, look at Amy Winehouse. Yeah, troubled, definitely creative though. We can definitely say to the extent that her destructiveness and the chaoticness helped fuel in some parts. She was able to capture some, if not a lot, of that energy and channel it into her music, but that energy was bigger than her music and it ultimately consumed her. Otherwise, what can happen is that on the other side, if you're afraid of failure as well, on top of that, there's other conditionings. You may refuse to entirely participate, and that may stifle your creative expression because of fear of failure and a fear of expression, and the pressures that one puts on themselves, it suffocates. So it's either one or two. You either explode or implode. Those are the main two kind of derivatives of it. And it's not healthy in either way. You need to have a look at what those individual expressions need in order to counteract the extremities of the manifestation of either mental illnesses or traumas, and get professional help if need be, i.e. myself if you need one, life coach, self-icon.
For sure, yeah.
Plugging myself right now.
Yeah, you have to. That's why you're here, bro. That's why you're here, for sure.
Oh, man. Bro, I can't wait. And you know what's crazy as well? You picked my favorite color as well. I didn't even tell you my favorite color.
You should have been looking, bro.
I'm just getting little glimpses here and there. I'm really trying to look away.
You should have been looking. You should have been looking.
You're good at this. You're really good at this. You picked my favorite color off the bat.
I'm trying, bro.
You impressed me, bro.
Yeah. I'm not just sketching anymore. I'm not sketching. Yeah. So navigating the fashion industry often involves networking. Mm-hmm. What tips do you have to artists to build an authentic and meaningful connection, given that most of the best creatives in the world are quite, I'm not going to say introvert. Introvert. I'm not going to say introvert because I don't have any facts from that. But as I know from my experience, most artists doesn't like to open to themselves. They like people to understand them, but they don't like to open. And it's quite difficult for them to connect because they don't speak the same language as everybody do. They speak in the language like Picasso. Nobody understood Picasso. And his art is after years that we are able to say that was a great artist. But how in this day you have to connect, you have to talk to people. Yeah. Your art is good, but I think it's not just enough. So what are the tips you can give to these artists to kind of bring themselves out, to open themselves to connect with others?
I mean, first thing is that regardless whether you're an extrovert or introvert, it doesn't close the book on your social skills. In fact, introverts can be quite sociable. They can even handle the spotlight in a room. It just means that they prefer to be alone to recharge their batteries, whereas extrovert prefer to be around people to recharge their social batteries. So
Yeah.
it's but regardless of either one, it's you may have artists that are unwilling to divulge too much of their emotions of their inner world, because if they're able to do so in such a way, containing that richness within them and not letting out the pressure of the richness that's created within the inner world, if that's what fuels their art, then so be it. That's their working mechanism. You can tweak it, obviously. You can find which tweaks work. You can find out in which way to express your view on your art without giving away the essence of it, if need be. I would say for those people who tread more carefully in divulging, that means tread more carefully in getting to know someone. It may be a longer process of being able to trust someone to open up to a certain level, to understand your artistic expression and vision, but you still need someone. To other people, I would still say be careful, go slowly, because the slower you get to know someone, obviously not too slow, but the slower you get to know someone, one, there's less pressure, you feel more in control, so it's less scary. Two, you're able to, over a longer time, analyze and assess the person better. Any judgment we have on anyone is only as good as the information we have at hand. So if you rush the process, you're going to have less information at hand, more likely you're going to make an error. But it's still important that you go out, because at the end of the day, if you are a creative person and you become an artist, in doing so, pursuing to showcase your skills to everyone, you're going to need people. You're going to need people to appreciate your art, to come in contact with your art, and also closer people to you to also understand who you are as a person and champion you out in the outer world. I mean, for instance, you may think when you're not doing anything, right? You said before that, when you're not doing anything, you in the day you feel anxious or you feel like stressed out, you need to do something, right?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Even when you're not working, your name is in people's mouths and people are talking about you, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens when you have a network, right? Even if on the day you're not working, work is still being done without you, because people have met you, they understand you, they're inspired by you, they're motivated by you, they wish the best for you, and they're going to speak your name in other environments, and maybe for your benefit as well, by connecting with people. And so it's important to have that community. And bro, I can't wait, man. You're so super focused on the sketch. I can't wait.
It's all right. I'm done.
But yeah, it's hella important.
Yeah.
People champion you. You're gonna want people in your corner. Otherwise, it's gonna be really lonely.
Yeah.
Really lonely.
So in a world of social media, how can professional balance the need of self-promotion with the potential negative impact of the mental health? And I'm going to go further on this question, because as I am creating things and I'm putting it out there on social media, I become more interesting in the gratification and the approval of people from social media, and that make a complete shift from the artist, from the purpose. So I focus more on people likes that focus on working. So how can I manage that, which is stay away from that instant gratification while still being capable of going out there?
I think that's a good question. I can't lie to you. It's, one, it's very difficult. It's very different if in your promotions you are part of the promotion, you are in the camera. It's very different, because then it's very easy to base the success of that promotion based on your own appeal or what you perceive your own appeal to be. And that can be a very dangerous thing to conflict the two. You know, as we said before in the previous question, even if you're a doctor, doesn't mean you can open a practice. It's two different skills, you know. So even though you're creative, promotion is two different skills. If you don't need to be in front of the camera, it can be a bit easier. You know, you're not as involved in it. There's not so much of you personally invested in it. You know, your own identity in it. But if there is your own identity in it, just try and keep the bigger picture in mind. Not understand that, okay, why have I done this? What's the goal for this promotion? Well, maybe to get this many views. What's the reason for this many views? Okay, to make people focus maybe more on this new thing that I'm about to launch, or make them aware of this maybe podcast that I'm doing with Arsenal, you know?
Yeah.
So have a bigger picture in mind so you're not too invested into smaller details. Again, get professional help if you need to. Let it out. Understand why it is that you're so invested into your identity, because a lot of people are, because their ego runs them and the ego wants to protect the self. Right? So there's many ways you can battle it, but you need to find a way to look at the bigger picture, detach yourself from it personally if you can. Look at the bigger picture, so you look at it in a more objective setting as well, in an objective way rather than subjective. And if you understand that there is a slight jerk in the motion of trying to go further because you're having to look at yourself and be like, yo, I know I was looking great in this. Why isn't it popping up?
Yeah.
If you know that you're having to criticize yourself and put yourself down because then you need to take a pause and take a breath. And if you can't figure it out yourself, get help.
Yeah.
That's, you know, it's there's no reason to suffer or to push things aside if you're struggling with it, just because of the fact that you don't want to feel like you're not strong enough. It's not that. You just maybe don't have the tools right now, but you go out there to get the tools.
As an artist, we mostly face criticism and judgment based on our choice. Footballers base judgment on how they play. Musician base judgment on how the way they sing. Anybody made judgment on how you dress to go to work. So how can we build a strong sense of self-worth and self-esteem in order to go through this?
Well, you just said it, self-esteem. How do you improve self-esteem? How do you guard self-esteem? Is to enrich the self-esteem, and self-esteem about self. So you need to learn how to value yourself. You need to learn how to appreciate yourself. You know?
And what's a tip? What exactly can I do to do that?
Look at your stuff. Give it to people who you can trust as well, or people who can give you constructive criticism. And just know that, look, this is art. Art is subjective, exactly. Art is subjective. It's not for everyone. It's not why we do it. We don't do it for everyone. But we do it for people who can resonate with it and understand, and maybe interpret it slightly differently and take it to a different direction. You know, yeah, of course we want success with it, but success will come with more exposure. And as long as you take care of the little things, you know, your own mental health, your own time to energize yourself, so you're not so worn down mentally and emotionally as well that you can't appreciate the nice things, you know, that you do have a good team around you to also champion you in places where you're not, you know, to shine a light on you when you're not there as well. All these things help with it, you know. Once you understand what you have developed, once you understand the community that you have curated, once you understand how much people appreciate you, and you're able to take a step back and then take it all in, self-esteem, woof, go through the roof. Have a big head, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
The issue will be then is how to stop getting egotistical, you know?
For sure.
But you just take care of the small things and everything else will come together. You know, if you do everything that we've been speaking about in this podcast, that will eventually, as you pay more attention to yourself, increase that self-esteem.
Yeah. So Taylan, we're getting to the end of this podcast, so I have two last questions. I have two last questions. I wish we had more time. Yeah, I had two last questions. This, what message would you address to that person who is facing anxiety today? That person who we are in a creative field, who wants to get into that creative field, but think that he doesn't have the capacity or the ability to go through to do it. If you had one thing to tell him, what would that be?
What makes you so different that you can't accomplish this? Do you know how much stuff you've gone through in your life that you thought you would never be able to overcome? The stresses that you experienced, the doubt that you experienced, that you expressed, but you're here, right? Nothing's knocked you down so far back that you can't get back up, and you've and developed so much skills and knowledge since then, right? You've actually done it already. All your fears have all fell by the wayside. You're still surviving, you're still thriving, hopefully. Acknowledge that. Okay, there's going to be some failures, but failures is not the end, because you can get up and try again, and you don't start from scratch again. You start from a place of experience, right? So just keep at it. And if it gets too bad with the anxiety, take a step back, be kind to yourself. Yeah. Again, rest is also important. Rest is extremely important. If you can't repair yourself, how are you going to work out hard again? You know, how are you going to tackle something again? Be kind to yourself. Go through this podcast again and look at some of the concepts I've explained in terms of anxiety and how to acknowledge your own emotions and where to go from there. And if you need further help, you can go on Self Icon, and there's a guy there who's got a bald head. He will help you out.
For a shout. For sure. Yeah, thank you. That's a
so
deep
good,
message.
man.
That's a deep message, and you're a master at it. You master your craft. You know what you're doing. The last question is the question the previous guests left, and the guest say, "What will you change from your childhood?"
Man, that's so hard. I don't know. I don't know if I could change, because I don't know how that would affect. Like, imagine this, like, from the starting point, even if you just go 1 degree, right?
Yeah.
Just 1 degree out of a whole 360.
It's changing everything.
And you go 10 miles down. Do you know how far apart those endpoints
Yeah.
would be? That's scary. I don't know if I'll be here. I don't know if I would find my partner who I love so much. I don't know if I would come to this point. And there's so many differences. I don't know, man. I don't know. If there's one thing I can change about my past, is that I could be more daring and more emotionally intelligent at a young age, so that I could appreciate the finer things in life that I missed out on.
Yeah.
That's the only thing for me personally. But in terms of my environment, I can't say that.
Yeah.
You know,
Just appreciate more the process.
yeah, man. Appreciate the life more, you know, because
Right.
it goes by, and you spend so much time worrying about things that you shouldn't have to
You
worry
shouldn't
about,
have to
because they all fall by the
Yeah,
wayside. Like
I
I
can
said,
relate,
the person with they all fall by the wayside, and
Yeah.
2 months go by, you even forgot about what stressed you out 2 months ago, but you're still there. You could have enjoyed that time, but you know,
Yeah.
just have that certainty in self and patience, man. That's about it.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
bro.
for I've learned a lot. I'm always learning from you, and
Love, man.
I hope you'll be back to share more.
Yeah.
Because we still have a lot of questions down the line too.
As long as
To
this
share.
room is cold, it's warmer than outside, you can most certainly find
For sure.
me, bro.
So you know, you're a simple guy, so it wasn't easy to do something for you, trying to be simple, going on those colors which you like, and yeah, just try to sketch this. And
Oh, if you guys could see this right now, it's gonna have a picture maybe like posted up.
you know,
Right?
have a picture, and yeah, you're just burning out in the fire. That confident man who's just shining, coming out of that fame, of that
Bro.
blur thing. And you can show to the camera if you want. You can just
Bro.
turn it out, so you can just flip it out.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it for real? Like, ooh.
Yeah.
For real, like, he's even drawn in like how suave this guy is moving. Like, I can just imagine how suave this guy is moving right now. But, oof, I love I love the little textures on the shoulders as well. I love the cut. It almost looks like a yukata or a Japanese.
I just took inspiration from what you're having now, so I'm just let me just do something.
Bro, honestly, I love this. It's it definitely has that Oriental vibe, but with this.
Not too colorful for you as well.
I love it though.
Yeah,
I love it, bro. I'm gonna have this done.
Yeah, we're gonna make it happen.
If I come here next time, give me a little bit of time. I want to come back in with this. Imagine me.
For sure, yeah. That's what we're gonna do.
That's gonna be dope, bro.
That's what we're gonna do, bro.
That, bro.
So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being part of the podcast.
Thank you, bro.
And
it's always a pleasure, bro.
You're always welcome whenever.
Thank you, bro. Whenever it's cold and outside, I'll be here, man. You guys can find me here.
Thank you.